Okay, have you ever stopped and wondered what actually happens inside a doctor's mind? Between that exact moment they glance at a patient's chart and when they finally deliver a diagnosis? The final answer gets documented, sure, but the invisible machinery of that medical reasoning, the missteps, the weighted probabilities, the sudden intuitive leaps, it usually stays completely hidden. Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to make that invisible medical reasoning totally visible. Let's dive right into this. We're breaking down a really fascinating 13-lesson course called Clinical Cognition from First Principles. It is literally an absolute masterclass in taking the medical mind and laying it out on the table piece by piece. So, here's our engine to mastery roadmap for today. We'll be moving quickly through 5 main sections. Section 1 is the Clinical Cognition course. Section 2 covers the Socratic learning approach. Section 3 is building the core engine. Section 4 tackles the advanced mastery track. And we'll wrap up with Section 5 on EBM and final electives. All right, Section 1, the Clinical Cognition course. The overarching goal of this curriculum, which is actually built from a massive 57-module Vibrounds prompt library, is to expose how clinical reasoning actually moves, pivot by pivot, rather than just looking at the final conclusion it reaches. Now, you might be wondering who this is actually for. Well, it's uniquely built for a dual-track audience. On one side, we have the clinician track, so medical professionals and doctors who are auditing their own reasoning to sharpen those cognitive processes. And on the flip side, we've got the technical track. These are the AI developers and software engineers building the systems that need to interact with that complex medical logic. So whether you're the human making the call or the developer building the tool to assist that human, this foundational knowledge is the bridge between you. Moving right along to Section 2, the Socratic learning approach. This is where we dive into the foundational philosophy that drives the early lessons. The guiding philosophy here is absolutely brilliant. It's AI that questions rather than answers. Just think about how powerful that is for a second. Instead of an AI just instantly handing a doctor a diagnosis, it leverages strict constraints and relentless questioning to force a genuine attempt from the learner before revealing any answers. It's a Socratic loop. When you actually have to sweat through the logic yourself, guided by perfectly timed questions, man, that reasoning gets permanently wired into your brain. Okay, Section 3, Building the Core Engine. This covers lessons 3 through 9, and you can think of it like building the engine block of a high-performance vehicle. So this core cognitive engine fires in 3 distinct steps. We start at Step 1 with the raw findings, basically the unfiltered, chaotic patient data. Step 2 dynamically transforms that raw data into a stress-tested, probability-weighted differential. And this isn't just a random list of possible diseases, it's a mathematically and logically weighted hierarchy. Finally, Step 3 is self-critique. This is where the clinician turns all that rigorous discipline inward to basically audit their own logic before committing. It's just a beautiful, self-correcting mechanism. And inside this engine, we've got these essential cogs constantly turning. We tackle bias by auditing cognitive failure modes right from the very moment of commitment. We ensure clear handoffs through the patient advocacy track. Then we zoom out to analytics at scale, comparing a single patient's logic to massive population-level registries. We even borrow safety and systems thinking straight from engineering to bulletproof clinical workflows, ensuring that diagnostic confidence is calibrated and multidimensional rather than just a single flat score. All of those cogs culminate right here in Lesson 9, the full case, start to finish. This is the ultimate test. We run a complete case using the master protocol, taking the entire reasoning trace we've just built, reading it back as a single unified artifact, and stress testing it. Does the logic actually flow from the very first raw finding all the way to the final calibrated judgment? This is the ultimate validation that your cognitive loop actually holds together. But right as we perfect that single loop, we hit a bit of a wall. What happens when reasoning goes beyond just a single diagnosis? Because let's be real, in the actual world of medicine, a patient isn't just one discrete problem you can solve and close. Healthcare is continuous, it's multi-layered, and deeply, deeply complex. So how on earth do we scale up the concepts we just built? That brings us to Section 4, the Advanced Mastery Track. This is where we officially graduate from single diagnosis mechanics and shift gears into multi-agent metacognition. As we evolve into these advanced lessons, we start comparing single-agent reasoning, which is that metacognition and multi-axis confidence we just mastered, against systems and organization reasoning. Now we're dealing with multi-agent workflows, managing highly structured handoffs between totally different medical teams. We're adding precision medicine layers where we have to resolve conflicting evidence and carefully weigh a patient's personal preferences against standard protocols. It's an entirely different league of complexity. The whole program culminates in Lesson 13, Clinical Wisdom and Mastery. Now, how do you capture tacit knowledge? That gut feeling a senior doctor has that they can't quite articulate. This lesson is all about telling real, earned expertise apart from a dangerous mental shortcut that just looks like expertise. It's about building the habit of periodically auditing your own compressed intuition so you don't drift into bad habits. Which leads us to our final part, Section 5, EBM and Final Electives. Because obviously, this newly built cognitive operating system doesn't exist in a vacuum. For those of you who want to push even further, there are 5 optional electives sitting right outside the main sequence. You can take your new reasoning skills and apply them to N of 1 research, disciplined journal reading, community medicine, thematic analysis, or longitudinal cross-case learning. It is a fantastic playground for taking your upgraded cognitive engine out for a spin. But the most vital connection here is how this all relates to evidence-based medicine, or EBM. While clinical cognition asks, how did I get from findings to a judgment in the first place, EBM is asking, can I actually trust the evidence I'm using? These two sibling courses are perfectly complementary. You can start with either one, but together, they form a complete armor of rigorous medical thought. One handles the internal logic, and the other handles the external data. Which brings us to the final provocative thought I want to leave you with today. Are you just arriving at conclusions, or are you truly mastering the cognitive engine that gets you there? Whether you're a doctor treating patients on the floor or an engineer building the future of clinical AI, understanding how we think is absolutely just as critical as what we think. I really hope this explainer has sparked your curiosity to explore these Vibron's principles for yourself. Keep learning, keep questioning, and whatever you do, keep auditing your engine.